What would happen if Daemon decided to declare himself king and take the Iron Throne for himself? Well, that's what we'll be doing today. We're going to look at what would be the best time for Daemon to strike and take the throne, and potentially what a kingdom under Daemon would look like. Before we get into that, I would like to say a huge thank you to Raymond and Valerian on our Discord server for suggesting the video topic today. If you have any ideas you want us to tackle, you can find the server link in the description below. Now, let's get into it. We at the Fandome believe that Daemon's best time to strike is just after the invasion of the Stepstones of the year 109 AC. This is when Daemon would theoretically have the biggest advantage against his brother King Viserys. These would be the factors in Daemon's favour. Number 1. Dragons. Viserys has one dragon that's truly on his side, and that's Syrax, which in comparison to Caraxes is still rather untested. Syrax is roughly 30 years old at most during the time of the War of the Stepstones. Caraxes in comparison is 50 years old and heavily battle tested due to the 5-year war. Daemon would also most likely have House Velaryon on his side, with Corlys not exactly pleased in regards to multiple rejections his side suffered in trying to marry into the royal line. The Velaryons bring with it 2 battle-ready dragons, with one more soon to follow. Princess Rhaenys with Meleys the Red Queen, one of the fastest dragons in the realm. Laena Velaryon with Vhagar. Laena would be 16 at around that time, and well, Vhagar's Vhagar.
That hoary old bitch.
The largest and oldest Targaryen dragon in the Seven Kingdoms. And lastly, we have Laena with Seasmoke. Both are rather young at the time, with Laena being 15 and Seasmoke being at least 9 years old. The TV show made some changes in this regard, as Seasmoke is aged up in the show to take part in the Stepstones alongside Laenor, a change I actually liked. With one dragon on his side, Daemon might struggle and Viserys might have a chance with the might of the Seven Kingdoms and Syrax behind him. Against 3 dragons and one of those being Vhagar? It's a wrap. 12-year-old Rhaenyra ain't doing nothing against those 3. Even if we took her show age and made her 16, she's still toast. Why am I so confident that Corlys would join Daemon's side? Well, he's the one who placed the crown upon Daemon's head on the Stepstones and urged him in joining the war. House Velaryon also brings with it the largest fleet in Westeros and its finest naval commander in Corlys, and they are shockingly close to King's Landing, so a direct strike would not be outside the realms of possibility. They can further cement that bond by marrying Daemon to Laena. Daemon at the time would still be married to his lovely wife, Rhea Royce.
Think my bronze bitch is happier for my absence.
But Targaryens are known to have multiple wives, or well, Daemon could just have that marriage annulled.
Consider that a divorce.
He's going to take the crown by conquest. I doubt he's going to care about the mere matter of divorcing Rhea Royce. Now, what does Daemon have going against him? His conscience.
You serious?
Really? To stop Daemon, you need to remove House Velaryon. They are the main force of support behind him. Without them, life is much harder for Daemon. If Daemon doesn't have their support, then he's in trouble. But it's far harder to argue against him having their support due to their invasion of the Stepstones together. If Velaryon was still alive, then maybe Daemon and co would think twice. But by the time Balerion had died 15 years earlier in 94 AC, and at that old age wasn't even capable of flying to Dragonstone from King's Landing, he was just simply far too old and slow. So really, it's more of Balerion's reputation that would have been the danger than the actual physical presence of the dragon. If Viserys had decided to claim another dragon and strengthened his position, then it's still only 2 dragons on his side. What about Aegon, Aemond and Helena, you say?
The boy just turned 2 on us for Rhaenyra's hand.
Aegon's 2, Helena's born at best, and Aemond probably hasn't even got his eyes at this point. So yes, Viserys is fucked. It's him and Rhaenyra versus Daemon, Rhaenys and Laena. How does the war go down? There's 2 ways this goes down. The sneaky option is Daemon and his Gold Cloak connections sneak into the Red Keep through the passageways that Blood and Cheese later utilised during the assassination of Jaehaerys. The Gold Cloaks are loyal to Daemon, and he is the reason for their namesake, as he was the one who outfitted them in the golden coloured cloaks. There's roughly 2,000 Gold Cloaks at the time this would take place. A large percentage, arguably, may have loyalty to Daemon. If that's in doubt though, then he can just do it in style. My first bet would be to secure Dragonstone. It's on the way to King's Landing and Driftmark, so it wouldn't look the most suspicious, but also it protects the rear of his army and he can secure the Dragon Mount to ensure none of the house dragons without riders are used against him. Dragonstone shouldn't offer too much resistance, and he might get bonus points of Rhaenyra hanging around. That would be a valuable hostage if he could capture her. Next would be flying down the gullet, assisted by Rhaenys and Laena, and take King's Landing by sky, whilst Corlys sails down the gullet and lands any troops they need. I honestly can't imagine much resistance here, with the city's defences not being armed to counter dragons, and one roar from Caraxes would just get them to open the gates. You could have one of Rhaenys or Laena fly to the dragon pit to ensure nobody can mount a counterattack, or stop Rhaenyra getting ideas about flying Syrax. But otherwise, it's just a formality at this point. It's how he deals with Viserys and Rhaenyra that will be the issue. Does he execute his brother and earn the name Kinslayer, or does he banish him? This is a classic case of you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If Viserys is banished, then he can be used to challenge Daemon's role further down the line. Rhaenyra as heir can be bypassed purely by her gender, but then again, Daemon can just have her as a second or third wife at this point. Killing Viserys though? That wouldn't go down well with anyone. It's the expected thing, but Viserys was a popular and beloved king by the lords and common folk alike. Daemon on the other hand? Well, we'll get to that when we discuss what his role would look like. Viserys isn't the only problem. Aegon would be born at this point and be 2 years old. If Daemon kills Viserys and then Aegon to cement his role, he risks alienating the High Towers of Old Town. Alone, they can be dealt with, but they could be a powerful enemy in future if anyone decides to rebel against Daemon's rule. Either way, it's a tough choice for Daemon. You could banish Viserys but keep Aegon as a hostage, who would be Viserys' heir by standard Westerosi law, and take Rhaenyra as a second or third wife. This way he avoids the title of Kingslayer, and he'll have possession of most of the dragons, so hopefully this just sends Viserys on his merry way. With the conquest done, it's time for ruling. What exactly would the realm under Daemon look like? Pretty brutal most likely. Daemon wasn't exactly a great fit for ruling, as Viserys offered him various roles on the small council, which Daemon grew bored of. But he did excel at one job, and that was commander of the City Watch, with crime dropping sharply. Most likely because the punishments for committing crimes were pretty goddamn brutal under Daemon. However, this reign as commander of the City Watch does speak volumes to Daemon's ability to lead and inspire loyalty when he can be bothered to. The City Watch were considered an embarrassing joke during the reign of King Viserys, and it wasn't until Daemon took command and adorned them with their now signature golden cloaks that they became an effective policing force once again. What seems to be Daemon's biggest weakness as a ruler is his lack of contentment in merely preserving the order he establishes. Much like Big Bobby B, Daemon seems to prefer the journey over the destination. As soon as the ring's gone into Mount Doom, this guy's turned his bloody TV off. The guy thrives in chaos, and his spirit is one that constantly seeks challenge. Now, we have been basing a lot of our assessment on the books, but we're going to look at both seasons of House of the Dragon here. Daemon will draw his sword any chance he can get. He quite literally chafes under stagnation, and once the first couple of inevitable minor rebellions, and boy is Daemon praying every night for a rebellion to rise, are put down and the brutal example set, the realm would be at peace, and the realm at peace is quite possibly Daemon's worst nightmare, which can only lead Daemon pushing the realm in one direction: war. Who with? Your mother. Nah, to be honest, it likely wouldn't matter to Daemon, as long as they can give him a good fight. So again, your mother. But the most obvious first target would be those unbowed, unbent, and broken bastards in the south. With Dorne remaining free at this time, Daemon might unite the realm in trying to conquer it. It would certainly stroke his ego, as no one else has conquered Dorne at this point, and he would likely relish the challenge of putting House Martell's motto to the test. Could Daemon conquer Dorne? Well, Aegon couldn't, and his dragon was bigger, and his approach likely more measured than what Daemon would attempt, so who knows. But we're leaning towards a Dornish victory. A failed attack against Dorne could spell the beginning of the end for Daemon's sanity. See, he doesn't thrive off of never-ending battle, he thrives off winning and succeeding. If he starts to lose ground, he may just give up. As the Maesters state, he did this with the Stepstones in 115 AC, after the Triarchy and Dorne formed an alliance to invade them. After this, it's likely a slow descent into resentment, bitterness, and unceasing anger for King Daemon. To be honest, that's just your 30s, isn't it, lads? Unable to accept his loss and unable to avenge it, perhaps he spends his days seeking new wars he can actually win, Or perhaps he stews and sieves for the remainder of his reign. The reality is that Daemon is just not meant for ruling overall. He doesn't have the balanced temperament to handle day-to-day administration. He's hot-headed, impulsive, and violence is always the first resort. He's got some great leadership qualities, sure, but they only extend to the realm of the martial and the militaristic. When all hope seems lost, he is 100% the guy you want at the head of your army. But he is the last guy you want sat on the throne. And one just little tidbit at the end, if Daemon was to try and push his claim during the Dance of the Dragons, he would stand less of a chance there. There's too many warring factions, too many things at play. It just wouldn't bode well for him. He might succeed, but he could also end up getting ganged up on, just like Maelys and Rhaenys was by Sunfire and Vhagar. So trying to usurp the throne during the Dance of the Dragons, not a great move. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, I hope that answered all your questions. Thanks again to Raymond Valarian for suggesting this video in our Discord server. Leave a comment telling us what you think Daemon's rule would look like and when would be the best time to conquer.